All righty, here we go. Brand new Flyers Daily for, how about Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. Flyers Daily presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Flyers back in action tonight after a couple of days off, and they are going to take on Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, the Edmonton Oilers, who Connor McDavid in the game against Columbus the other night had a spin move that it looked like he corkscrewed the defender into the ice. Unbelievable the way he goes in and just snaps it around on the backhand and scores. What a sensational goal. I said this in yesterday's episode. I'll say it again in today's. If you've never seen McDavid in person, I urge you to call the Xfinity Mobile Arena box office or go on the Flyers website, PhiladelphiaFlyers.com, and get some tickets for tonight. And try and get them as low down as you can so you can watch him in person. He is a spectacle. Get there for warm-up, too, because as talented and dynamic as he is on TV, it's even more in person. I used to say this when Allen Iverson was with the Sixers. TV did his game no justice. You saw he was a great player and scorer and tenacious, just gave it everything he had on TV. But when you went to a game and saw Allen Iverson, his first step, TV did it no justice. Just how fast it was. And then to see him battle against guys that were so much bigger than him and do the things he does in person was a spectacle. Get down to this game tonight. Connor McDavid is a spectacle. Now, we hope he doesn't have a lot of success tonight against the Flyers. Flyers have actually done a pretty good job against McDavid throughout his career, all things considered, in kind of not totally stopping him, but limiting him, I guess is maybe the best way to put it. McDavid's been in the league now for 729 games. He's got 1,106 points. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. And then you look at McDavid, and he is all that. He is perhaps the best player, most skilled player to ever play the game. And the best player to me is something you have to earn through achievement and team achievement. He hasn't done that yet. He's gotten to 2 finals, but hasn't done that yet. In 17 games against the Flyers, he's got 11 goals and 22 assists for 33 points. Has he really played against the Flyers 17 times already? And 33, that's 2 points a game. So maybe they haven't limited him a whole heck of a lot. Maybe over the last couple of years they have. But he is tremendous. And we'll see him tonight. And again, seeing him in person is a whole different experience than seeing him on TV. And frankly, we don't get to see him on TV a ton here because he's in Edmonton. A lot of his games are at 10 or 10:30 at night on a weeknight, and it's hard for people to stay up that late. Flyers come into this game, despite having a couple of days off and the league going on, the Flyers still hold on to wild card number 2. Now, they've only played 15 games, a record of 8-5-2, 18 points. That's tied with 4 teams in the Eastern Conference. Tampa, an identical record of 8-5-2. The Islanders have 18 points, but in 16 games. So Flyers have a game in hand on them. Detroit and the Rangers. 5 teams with 18 points right now in the Eastern Conference. But the Flyers, by way of playing less games than the Islanders, Detroit, the Rangers, have that wild card number 2 spot. They are 3 points back of the Penguins, who have 21 points, but the Penguins have played 2 more games than the Flyers. So Flyers still hanging on to that spot. Goal differential, something we always look at, +4 in goal differential. The opponent tonight, Edmonton, comes in 17 games played, 7-6-4, 18 points again. They are -9 in goal differential. They've scored 52, but given up 61 goals. To compare that to the Flyers have scored 43, but only given up 39 goals. Now, Edmonton's played 2 more games, but Edmonton not in a playoff spot as we speak. It has not been a great start for them. As one of the YouTube commenters said, last year was even worse. They'll turn it on. I don't worry about Edmonton. There's some things there I don't like, but they will turn it on. There's too much talent there, especially at the high end with McDavid and Draisaitl. They're coming off a 5-4 OT win in Columbus or at home against Columbus on Monday night. Tonight is the first game of a long road trip for them. Obviously, the Flyers tonight. Thursday, they'll be in Columbus. Saturday in Carolina. Monday against Buffalo, in Buffalo. Washington the following Wednesday, a week from now. and then Thursday in Tampa, and then Saturday in Florida. I mean, what a brutal trip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-game road trip for the Edmonton Oilers. This may go a long way to determining where they are at the Thanksgiving break. I mean, they'll play one more home game before Thanksgiving, and we know that Thanksgiving number of if you're not in the playoffs on Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, how difficult it is to make the playoffs. McDavid, 17 games, 7 goals, 17 assists, 24 points, 2 on the power play, 9 power play assists. Draisaitl, 10 goals to lead the team with 8 assists and 18 points, 6 power play goals. Now, we know when you face Edmonton, the power play is going to be good. Flyers PK has been very good. Edmonton, the third-ranked power play in the league, clicking at 32.6%. Only 2 teams ahead. The Penguins at 35.7, Dallas Stars at 32.8. The PK, that matchup between the Flyers PK and the Edmonton power play, now you don't want to keep putting them on the power play. It's a recipe for disaster. So you got to stay out of the box, got to move your feet against Edmonton. Flyers fourth on the PK this season at 88.2%. Edmonton actually good on the PK also. Third-ranked power play. How about the ninth-ranked PK at 82.6? Makes you kind of wonder, like, their goaltending has not been good, whereas the Flyers' goaltending has been very good, and it's been Dan Vladar for the most part. He has got a .218 save percentage. Or excuse me, that's goals against average, 2.18. His save percentage this season, now he's right up there with that too. And I'm going to give you some download on save percentage. He is 6th in the league at .917. Now, .917 about 4 or 5 years ago was just above league average. Devin Cooley's got the highest save percentage right now for Calgary at .935. Logan Thompson at .930. Spencer Knight and Connor Hellebuck. Knight and Hellebuck are really the two because they play a ton of games. But Vladar at .917. The league average save percentage right now, Flyers through 15 games, a lot of teams through 17, about 250 NHL games have been played. I heard Steve Valiquette on the Kipper and Bourne show. League average save percentage for goalies is .896 right now. And it's probably going to go down. .896. If you had an .896 4 years ago, you were in the minors. Now, .896 is league average. Why? Because teams just don't throw mindless pucks to the net. This is the effect of analytics. Just throwing pucks to the net that the goalie can just eat in his breadbasket, catch in his glove, or directionally rebound to a corner are of very little value. It's not about quantity. It's about quality. You see more players in the NHL now passing up shots, even in the high slot, to try and get the goalie moving laterally, whereas before, in many years, forever in the NHL, if you got a shot in the high slot, you took it, you ripped it. Now, if you're going to rip it, you better have a rebound. And rebound goals are up. Puck on pad, rebound goals are up. Teams are skillfully and trying to create what is more high danger chances, better percentage scoring chances, and not throwing any of the fluff at the goaltenders. And look, that's hard for the goaltenders. I've talked about this. There's a shift happening where you're not going to get volume on most nights. You're not going to get 33 to 35 and feel like you're really in the game seeing 10, 11 shots a period. Where in the past that was the case, you'd have a couple of high danger chances, maybe 3 to 4 really high danger chances in a game, hoping you save 2 of them, and you eat all the ones and stop all the ones you're supposed to stop. Then your save percentage is .915. But now, when you see 3 shots a period, I mean, the Flyers played Ottawa last week and they gave 1 shot in the second, 1 shot in the third, 1 shot in overtime. It's crazy. The goalies, there's nothing they can do to invite more shots or invite more low-quality shots. This is where the league is right now. So those days of going, oh my God, you're down by a goal and you only got 3 shots in the period, I think we have to evaluate that different. And for goalies, they're going to have to prepare differently. They're going to have to find ways to feel like they have that engagement of making 33 stops in a game. That's a mental part of it that's going to have to be adjusted to. So we'll see the guys that are good at that and excel on low volume. I will tell you, a lot of goalies, it's hard to be very good on low volume. But it is the Flyers and the Oilers tonight. I cannot wait to get down there tonight. Military Appreciation Night. It's going to be a great night at Xfinity Mobile Arena. Pick up those tickets for tonight. It's going to be a fun one down there. Now, in this episode, the remainder of it, we're going to empty the clip here. I got a bunch of DMs that I marked that I wanted to respond to. And I have 4 emails I want to respond to, and the YouTube comments section from yesterday's episode. We always go through this, and we'll start there. Joe McCloskey said, I was sitting in my recliner and said, come on, Mishkov, get in the zone first. You know why? He said, I played the game. Of course you're going to give the puck carrier an earful when he makes a move at the blue line. Zach said, the questions you are answering in this video show why I don't understand this fan base. I'm a Flyers fan in Georgia and was a Thrashers fan. I came from a fan base that made the playoffs once in 11 seasons and got swept in it. He said, the pessimism of this fan base to the point of pushing fake narratives just to have a complaint is mind-boggling to me. I'm not saying this team is perfect, but we can't act like the sky is falling over small things or untrue narratives. Look, I think that, Zach, is just our social media world we live in. It's the instant reaction. WGD Joe Frazier says, I believe you have never been, quote, told what to talk about. I talked about this in yesterday's episode. Sometimes people think Flyers media or whatever is directioned on how to frame a story. And I said my 32 years in broadcasting and all my years covering hockey as a talk show host on sports talk radio, whatever, I have never been instructed what to say or what not to say. He said, I also sincerely wish you well with your off-ice medical stuff. The one thing I would say that may be negative is that you, meaning me, have a very one-sided take, along with most of the co-hosts' interviews. By that, I mean not fully one-sided, but you are a glass three-quarters full perspective. That's understandable, given positivity is great to promote, but I feel like a pessimist perspective on occasion will provide some more balance. Just my thoughts. Staying glass three-quarters full doesn't hurt anything, but maybe on occasion, heel interview would be intriguing. Now, I do hear you. I understand exactly what you're saying. And maybe since my cancer battle, I've become even more of an optimistic guy. I think that in congruence with the Flyers, I think believing that they're actually building now in this phase of the rebuild lends into that as well. I have become a more optimistic person as I've gotten older and tried not to sweat the small stuff. Now, my position on this podcast, I've talked about this several times. There's a lot of Flyers podcasts, a lot of really good ones, whether it's PHLY with Charlie and Bill and Kelly, or it's Locked On Flyers with Russ and Rachel, or BSH, High and Wide, all of them. They're all good. I'm sorry I didn't mention everybody. But we all fill kind of a different void. My philosophy on this podcast, I'm not going to be the guy that comes on and screams and yells. And I'm more interested in having dialogue. And I got to this point where I don't want to just scream and yell, but I want to figure out why the mistake was made. Break it down. And sometimes the mistake on a goal allowed isn't as simple as nobody was there when the guy shot the puck. The mistake can happen in the neutral zone, in the offensive zone. It can happen anywhere. So I like to break that down. But I like to remove the emotion of fandom, of being a fan. Bring a little more rationality to the equation with what I do. And look, there are times when I can't strike that balance. And I do have the emotional reaction of a fan. When things are going really bad, I'll have an episode where I just go off. I'll blow my top. It doesn't happen often because I don't believe that's my lane with what I do. But there are times when I will blow the gasket. But I hear what you're saying, Joe Frazier. Thanks for the note. Logged 27 says, what would Jetlachenko be doing on the team if he wasn't sent down with the Coots and Forster injuries? Would he have been given more to do, or would he flip-flop scratched with obbles? That's a good question. I don't know. You have to make the decision. They could have hung on to him longer, but he needs to play. Ultimately, he needs to play. You can't just sit here and wait for an injury. And obviously not being eligible for the AHL this year is part of that equation as well. DJ 13s says, anyone that has played no matter what level knows that players are constantly talking and chirping at their own teammates. It happens at your local ball hockey rink. Imagine the professional level where you have some of the most competitive men on earth. Yeah, I mean, that happens. It happened at every level I played at and every level I've ever covered in every team sport. It's just part of it. Eric says, says, I went searching for what Coots said and found nothing controversial. Are people flipping out about his post-game answer when they asked about Mishkov and how the team is supporting him? That was nothing. Cheat isn't a disparaging term in this context. I'm baffled. Truly a case of trying to make something out of nothing. Wait, what? 215 says, I urge people to stop being so soft. Paco Pacino Alex says, true, Jason, context matters. We can only hope that Coots is a captain to everyone, not just the young guys. I just somehow doubt it, but don't mind me. You're entitled to doubt it. But in my experience, he's a guy, he's not the most verbal captain. He's not like Chris Pronger in that way. You get, as a captain, it doesn't matter that you have that C on your jersey. You still have to be who you are. You can't fake it. You can't all of a sudden go, well, I got to see in my jersey. I got to be this guy that's giving speeches. That's not him. The way everybody leads is different. I think Couturier is more of, look what I do, and we can talk, and I can help give you my perspective and instruction on things. Kind of like a coach almost as a leader. Whereas some captains were very vocal and would call guys out. Other guys would be very vocal and positive, and it ranges all over the map. Rick Warren says, Vladar is as good of a move by Danny as Zegras was in his short time so far as GM. Players will want to come to Philly again. Look out in 2 to 3 years, first-class organization. The Vladar move, I didn't see this coming. I gotta get in touch with Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine. But Vladar has been excellent. I will tell you, I think the defensive zone coverage has been excellent, and that is a big part of it. But you can't deny what Vladar has done. Even when he wasn't sharp, I thought, in that Montreal game, in the third period, he played well after giving up 4 in the second. And then in the overtime and the shootout, he made big saves. For a goalie, being able to reset and do that is a big element. Oh, no, it's Sean says, I feel like most fans and commentators don't know hockey. Very egocentric expectations. Like, I scratch my head at them. That's mixed with toxic media creates those nothing burgers. I don't think this had anything to do with the media. I think this was more, I don't think the media created any of it. I didn't see any media members, lighting a match to what Couturier said or the facial expressions on the bench. Maybe sometimes that's the case, and maybe some media members more than others, but I didn't see that here. So Mel Cohen says, the way Jason's hypothetical goalie statement at the beginning was low-key the same thing Dustin Wolf was being quoted out of context in Calgary earlier this season. Very true. It was something I thought of when I came up with that, because there was a quote attributed to him that was basically what I said. I can't worry about goal scoring. I have to worry about my job. And people took that and they didn't take the full context. He said, anyways, love the Briere interview. Love that he also got too excited about team being good and then was dealt 200 swords to the heart over them losing to Calgary like the rest of us. So look, Danny I love talking to Danny, and we're going to get him on more. Mr. Twitzer said, I've been watching for the last 2 days as everyone has flipped out and lost their minds. Before I saw Coots' comments, I was expecting something real spicy. Then I watched the video like, that was it? This is causing the big fuss? These guys might have literally melted in the Lindros era. Yeah, I thank God sometimes that we didn't have social media back then, because you can remember it fondly. Let's get to some DMs. Joe DM me, said, dude, Flyers fans have an issue with this whole Mishkov crap this year. They got to understand it's the Philadelphia Flyers, not the Philadelphia Mishkovs. Media, too. It's getting ridiculous, the amount of questions players, coaches get about Mishkov. Well, he's obviously a huge storyline, a sensational talent that had a great rookie year. So the focus will be on him. a lot, and more than a player like Garnet Hathaway. That comes with the turf because his development and his play and everything is very consequential. I heard Charlie O'Connor on PHLY say that this generation, like the younger generation of fans, aren't as much fans of the team, but they may be fans of an individual player. He cited, I think this may have started in the NBA when guys started bopping all over the place, whether it was LeBron or whoever, Kevin Durant, choosing where they play, James Harden. And people would be a fan of that player and whoever they played for at that time. And it kind of stripped away the fandom of team, where of my generation and older and others, it's always about being a fan of the team as players come and go. As players have come through their era, we're still here. Or, I was a fan before Mishkov got here, and I'll be a fan after Mishkov. But there is a faction, a very vocal faction of the fan base that everything is about Mishkov. And it's very little about the team. It's all about he needs more minutes, or he needs to play with this guy, or he's being mistreated. It's about the team. A player's development is also about being a net positive player in all aspects, no matter what, as a teammate for the team. So thanks for the message, Joe. I appreciate it. Let's go to our next one here. Comes from, this is Scott. He said, good morning. I wanted to let you know you're my favorite of all Philly podcasts. Thank you. He said, your views seem to best match up with my own. Well, no wonder. He said, you're a realist with a hint of optimism and always keep your eye out for the pessimism. I love your takes. I'm also very happy with your progress in your medical journey. I wish nothing but the best for you. Thanks for being the highlight of my workday when I watch your streams. Keep up the great work, Scott. Thank you, Scott. I really appreciate that. Kind words are always welcome here. Brendan said, Jason, been listening every day for the past year. As someone who's never played hockey, I've enjoyed learning the game from listening to your show. Well, I don't have all the answers. He said, knowing what to look for has really helped me enjoy the game. My question for you is, do you happen to know if the Flyers have retired the black alternate jerseys? I like how they look, but excited if their retirement means a new alternate in the near future. Thanks, Brendan. It's a great question, Brendan, and I don't know the answer. But I tell you what, let's make a deal. I'll find out the answer, and we'll report back. I like the black jerseys, too. I don't love the black and orange ones they've been wearing the last couple of years, but we'll see if that jersey is retired, and I'm surprised we haven't seen it yet this year, so you make a good point. What does the new alternate look like? We'll find out. Email comes from Rich in Brunswick, Maine. Did you see Couturier look disgusting at Matvey on the bench when he got offsides during the OT in the Senators game? Coots was pissed, said some things, and kept shaking his head. I keep thinking about it and wonder, with all the media attention on Matvey, is there some kind of underlying resentment in the locker room? He said, you're much closer to the action. Does Matvey have any modesty like so many of the other players? Do you think he is fitting in with the team off the ice? I'm always looking for signs during the game, like bench behaviors, between whistle interactions, and even how others celebrate goals around Matvey when he's on the ice. Deep down, I'm getting worried that we have this highly talented player, but he's struggling to fit in with the team, which may end up impacting his performance and Flyers tenure. What do you think? Have you seen these signs? Am I crazy? I try and catch every episode. Thanks for all you do, Rich. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on the firsthand interactions off the ice on the road with Mishkov. I know the group is very tight. As far as modest, like, it's hard for me to really put a finger on Mishkov because I haven't talked to him many times, and especially one-on-one, because of the language barrier. So there's some things like where I would get to know a player by this point in his tenure, a year and change. With him, I don't have a great feel because I don't talk to him very much because of that language barrier. I think there is modesty there. I think he's a guy that's trying to learn to be more lethal. And I think he asks a lot of questions of not only players, but the coaches. And, I don't think there's anything there. I will say good for you, Rich, though, but looking for signs during games, like bench interactions, behaviors, after whistle interactions, and how others, like, that's cerebral. I look for that stuff too. Brent says, hey, Jason, wanted to say congrats on beating your fight and keep staying strong. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. He said, I wanted to jump right into the Flyers game already against Ottawa. Is it me or the Flyers constantly going out of the zone in overtime? It seems to me like they're trying to force the game into a shootout due to their great shootout record. They constantly gain the zone, and within 15 to 20 seconds, they're skating backwards towards their own net. This isn't the only game they have done this. I know you can't force the puck in overtime, but man, the constant moving, going backwards into our own end, it is so frustrating to watch. Not only is there no pressure for opposing teams, they also get a fresh line change. They need to start mixing their strategy up. I would like to see them apply more pressure in overtime and not force games in the shootout. Also, great game for Drysdale. Mishkov getting on the board is huge. Thanks, Jason. Stay strong and healthy. Respectfully, Brent. Brent, it's a problem I have with 3-on-3. And it's not just the Flyers. Every team does it. If you go into the zone and the other team is playing man and it just becomes a cycle and everybody's staying there, there's nothing there. They feel like it's, and this has got to be analytic driven, it's better to go out into the neutral zone and try and get somebody out of position. Ultimately, you're looking for an odd man rush to create a 2-on-1, to create a small area game by taking two of their players out. And I'd like to see the league put a rule in place where if you're in the zone and you pull out of the zone, maybe you get one warning. I don't know. It's a change of possession in some way or a D-zone face-off. I don't know. Some kind of penalty for doing this. I don't think it's good for the game. So it is frustrating for me as well. You can't overpressure and just force a low-level scoring chance because that's a change in possession, and you may never get it back. You just might never get it back. So you can't do that. You have to make sure that anything you put to the net has got a high danger chance of going in. And I don't love 3-on-3. I don't feel like it's hockey. I feel like it's gimmick, as I do with the shootout, but this is the system they have. Pete from Portland. Jason, love Saturday matinee games because out here west, I can watch the game before work starts. It's brutal when the Flyers hold themselves back from continuing toward being good when they do things that made them stink for so long. Standing around slack-jawed for whole shifts, being sloppy with the puck, not being able to clear the zone, losing track on defense for a split second in overtime. It's a long road, but at least they got a point, and Mishkov looks like he's getting out of his hibernation. All the best to you and continue good health. Pete from Portland. I think we have to realize sometimes, especially in today's game, that momentum makes a team look like they're just standing around or sloppy with the puck and not being able to clear the zone. I feel like momentum shifts in pro hockey now are so much more pronounced than they were. Talking to Chris Terrian about this before the Ottawa game in the pregame show. It felt more even for the most part in prior generations of the game. Now it feels like there's a team, they got momentum, they're hemming the other team in, and you're trying to survive it without the other team capitalizing on it, having something to show for their 6-8 minutes, whatever it is, of having momentum. And you're trying to thwart that, and you're trying to find a way to get momentum back, and then finding a way to capitalize on it when you have it. I say this a lot. This game is about capitalizing on momentum when you have it, mitigating what you give up, or the team, the opposition, capitalizing when they have momentum and finding a way to turn momentum in your favor. And teams all across the league look sloppy with the puck when they don't have it because the other team's up on them. They have a hard time clearing the zone because the other team's doing a great job forechecking. As far as the losing track on defense for a split second in overtime, Zegers beat himself up about this, so I won't. But Rick Tockett's right. You cannot be half in and half out on a line change in overtime. You're either coming or you're staying. You can't waffle. That waffle is what cost them in that overtime goal. And look, it happens. There's a lot of ice to cover. It's a long change in overtime. So you don't want to get caught out there dead tired without possession, because chasing is so much more exhausting than controlling play and having the puck. All right, one more. John Garber says, glad to hear your doctor visits are becoming less frequent and more encouraging. Yeah, I don't have a doctor's visit this is like the first week I haven't had one in probably a calendar year. I don't have a doctor's visit until January 13th when I have an appointment with my oncologist and they'll test my blood. And I have a procedure on March 6th. So that's pretty crazy. John said, I thought Dvorak was performing well in the face-off circle against Nashville, and especially in the third period. But question, it's about Risto and where he fits in when he comes back. How close is he to coming back? And are they not rushing his recovery because Juleson is doing well? Thanks for all you do. Go Flyers, John. I don't know the status of Risto. And maybe I should dig in on this more, and I will. But it seems like when Risto gets hurt, he goes into witness protection. We like forget about him. When he comes back, if he comes back and, is playing well, I think he takes the spot of Juleson right away. And Juleson becomes a 7. And maybe because Juleson's playing well and doing, like I look at some people look at Juleson, like, how can you say he's playing well? He's doing his job. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. And I can't even really think of maybe more than one kind of glaring mistake that he's made. I thought he was really good in the Ottawa game, very physical. I will tell you guys, too, that he is very vocal and positive to keep it upbeat on the bench and around the team. He's a surrogate for the coach because he played for him before. Those are all good things. And maybe his play does put you in that position to not rush Risto until he is absolutely ready. Thanks for the question, John. Everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Flyers, Oilers tonight. We'll break it down tomorrow. Join us then on a brand new Flyers Daily.